Hi, I'm Jack Berkowitz. I'm the Chief Data Officer with Securiti.ai, and really happy to be here today with Mano Mannoochahr, who's the Chief Data and Analytics Officer of Travelers. Mano, welcome to our discussion.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for having me here.
You and I were catching up, but you've got a long history in doing this. You and I were catching up, and in fact, in preparing for today's discussion, I was just reading about Elon Musk and Larry Ellison. I used to work in at Oracle, so I'm familiar with the sort of the big things that people will do. Just discussing about the impact of working in agriculture and
Sure.
using sensors and things together in agriculture. You were in early days doing exactly that. Maybe talk a little bit about sort of those cool projects that you even got started on. Again, impacting people's lives
Yeah,
with data and analytics, impacting all of our lives. Yeah.
certainly. Yeah, and I think that those are probably some early days of where I personally fell in love with some of the data and AI capabilities. Where when we started to connect back at my days at John Deere, started to connect our machinery to the internet. Whether that was tractors, combines, construction machines, and of course, as you can imagine, these machines had hundreds of sensors that once we got them connected, we could really start to get that fine granular level data coming back from the machine, and really started to open up our eyes in terms of what we could do with that data. And I think to your point, not only how we could actually improve the design of the machines themselves and better understanding how customers were really using it, whether there were examples like, hey, how big should the gas tank be on a machine, right?
Right.
Depending on what kind of customer usage was being employed by that machine. But more excitingly, as we had more and more data to be able to say, okay, now how can I actually help the customer become more productive and what they're trying to improve their business outcomes right through that data. So I think there were just some well documented examples that we learned very early days back in 2010 2012 time frame, where we would get the data back and we'll have an insight saying, hey, wait a minute, this customer is never making money on this part of his farm, right? His cost of input is more than the what he's getting out of it from a crop perspective. So maybe the best thing for the customer is turn that area of the farm into a pasture and not even try to grow
Yeah.
corn in it, right? And I think those are type of insights that you would never had unless you had actual data of cost of inputs going into it, how and as far as the product that was being grown there, what the customer is making off of it, and if they were losing money on it every year, then they should be taking a different action.
And this is the thing I love, right? In watching or in getting to know you and seeing this, right? Early in your career or earlier in your career where you're working with farmers and some of them are small farmers, family farms, right? Now at Hartford, you're, a much broader remit, but looking across, the impacts of, as you were saying, wind damage and helping families and
Mhm.
businesses get back on their feet. Uh,
Yeah,
that notion of being able to apply those things. So
yeah.
let me ask you, do you ever take the team out on field trips?
I'll give you maybe two parts answer, right? I think as we were speaking of John Deere, I think we had this notion that, hey, everybody who was going to join the organization in their first year had to go spend at least 30 days, in a dealer and or a customer field site, right? And I
Yeah.
think if I recall correctly, I think the name of the program there was called Through Their Eyes, which basically meant, hey, you've got to understand and really how work gets done at a farm or a construction site and whatnot. So I think I got very early insights into how valuable that was and how many new product ideas that came out of those actual field visits, right, quote unquote. I think the other, of course, coming back to Travelers, I'll still tell you that the very first year I joined the organization, I went ahead and spent about a week with our field organizations and our operation centers, and the learning out of that, several days that I spent sitting with the frontline employees who are serving our customers and agents were just phenomenal. I mean, I think there were years worth of learning packed into that 1 week. So,
Exactly.
you
Exactly, right? We
know,
started the conversation talking about how you build a team,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And, you know, in my role now, because I've gone from being, just inside of one company, but actually working across CDOs, CDAOs in, all of our clients and everybody's always talking, well, do I need a business analyst? Do I need two data scientists? Do I need three engineers? I'm
Mm-hmm,
always like, well, actually what you need to do
mm-hmm,
is get them in the field, right? My
totally.
first job, my first job, I was flying jump in airplanes. I was an airplane designer. I was flying jump, behind the pilots, just
Mm-hmm,
watching pilots, just to learn, just to listen to how they talk to each other and how they interact. And that advantage of a CDAO to be able to get their teams to understand the business
totally.
seems to me to be the biggest thing that we as leaders could provide.
I'm with you. I think the product owner role actually is so critical. Whether you've got a product owner with technology background or business background, right? For them to really get embedded and understand the area that they're, trying to develop a solution for. Because if they don't have that appreciation of, customer pain points and user pain points, right? It is just so hard to be able to say, "Hey, I understand what you need." And that understanding can't really come from not be able to go in and embed yourself, right? Because that is just incredibly important as you grow those product owners.
Why don't we wrap it there? Been great to have you on the discussion, um, and super happy. So again, I'm Jack Berkowitz from Security AI, Chief Data Officer. I'm here with Mano Mannoochahr, who's a Chief Data and Analytics Officer at Travelers, based in Hartford, Connecticut. Love, he appears to be hovering over the town right now. And thank you for your time. Really appreciate you spending the time with us.
Jack, thank you for having me. This was great. I know we could talk about this stuff for hours, but I appreciate the time.
Thank you.